Johnson heads to the pocket. Layup. Johnson. Good.
All right, welcome everybody. It's Chris Powers here, and we're talking sports right here on Pelican Sports TV, seen on Cox Cable 5 times a week on Tuesdays at 11 a.m., Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m., Fridays at 9, and Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Showtimes, that's what it is. So we're seeing about almost 2 million households. 89% of the metro New Orleans still has Cox Cable, and, of course, about 400,000 here in the Baton Rouge area, as well as 140,000 in the Lafayette area. We got lots to talk about today. The Saints, Southern, and LSU, and our where I was right and where I was wrong, and our our hot 5 picks coming up later on in the show. We start with the Saints and their Monday Night Football game against the Chiefs this week. It was absolutely horrible. Monday Night Football game. The Saints looked like they did not belong on the stage at all. It was a boring football game until the Saints scored again with a touchdown to Foster Moreau in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Saints, though, lose it 26-13. Notice how, so much injuries are happening. Before the Saints went into that game, they had 15 players on the injured list. I mean, not all 15 missed, but 15 players were on the injured list. Kansas City had even more than that. After the game, I think the Saints have more now on their list. But notice how with the more injuries that Kansas City had, their coach and players made adjustments. So you don't hardly have any wide receivers that can catch the ball. We all know Schuster's down to his end of his age. So what do? Did something you never hardly see. You see a 3 tight end set. Sometimes you see 2. You see that all the time. Very seldom you see 3 tight end sets. You saw 4 tight end sets last night. 4. You never do that. But, of course, Andy Reid is one of the greatest offensive minds in the game itself. I felt that this game, some things I knew and things that I've learned. Stars Cameron Jordan looked old. He looked his age. He's been looking his age all season long, and he looked old last night. He didn't even get near the quarterback. Tyrann Mathieu also showed his age last night. Now, he's had a pretty good season, but last night he showed his age big time. For instance, you got number 23 coming in on a blitz quarterback. So what does the safety have to do? The safety has to cover the wide receiver. Matthew was 10, almost 15 yards away from the wide receiver. It was an easy slant, and they get an easy 20, 25 yards on that play. What was he thinking? Also, a couple other times, it looks like he was running on a slick piece of ice. He wasn't putting it at 100%. And Tyrann Mathieu always puts it 100%. He just had a bad night last night. And, of course, he's been dealing with an injury he got in that Atlanta game. The offensive line is now worse than ever before. More injuries. McCoy on the IR, we know. Lucas Patrick did play. He had a groin injury, but he did play in that game. Ruiz, he's hurt, that poor thing. He's got a knee problem. Again, I go back to if the owners were not making money with TV contracts and what have you, and sponsorships and all that stuff, there's no doubt in my mind that owners would say, we got to come up with a new system. When the players miss, you get 60% of your paycheck. Just like you and I do if we miss. We get in a car accident, we're out for a month and 2 months, we got to get Aflac or some supplemental insurance like that. This is ridiculous. Those guys get paid, and they've got a little knee injury. Come on, it better show up on the MRI or anything like that if you're going to miss the game. Period. Bottom line. You got to come to us and say, this is what it is. We're going to check you out. Shane Lemieux, before the game, went on IR. Another guy gone. They signed Connor McGovern from the Jets practice squad. He played last night. I've seen 3 or more Chiefs defensive players in the backfield every single time Saints snap the ball. Every time. So when you look at that and you're saying, what the heck is going on? Because you shows those offensive line is horrible. Horrible. And then when they did the blitz, did you see when they blitzed at the last play that Derek Carr threw the ball? 8 players blitzed. That never happens. 3 wide receivers went out, but 8 players blitzed. I don't ever see that. That is crazy. That is absolutely nuts. If the Saints would have had better mind, and you think Dennis Allen's a good defensive coordinator, to see that was coming, to have an extra tight end out there, flip it, and guess what? That guy is going for daylight. But he didn't do it. No adjustments were made at that time. And it's absolutely crazy. The Saints will not be able to run or pass in this situation. If the offensive line is as bad, I don't care if Barry Sanders comes back. I don't care if Jim Brown comes back. They're not running the football with this bad offensive line. They're not. And I was at a press conference today and they had media talking about how bad Derek Carr was. I said, okay, I usually don't say nothing, but I'm going to tell you something right now. This is what I say right now. Would you rather the situation that's going on in Indianapolis? Would you rather Derek Carr or teams that are begging for quarterbacks? No, I'd rather Derek Carr. Now, how can we know how good Derek Carr is when he doesn't have an offensive line? And not only that, this is fourth straight new offensive coordinator. 4 straight. He throws the ball good, and he also puts the ball on the money. So you know why I agree to this? And then I know those guys, the media and some of the fans are saying they don't like Derek Carr. Quarterbacks who are on TV all think the world of Derek Carr. They think he's got good ability. Also, some wide receiver from Las Vegas is wanting to play for Derek Carr again. If Derek Carr was that bad, do you think he'd want to come to play for Derek Carr? No. So that's what I'm saying, that the pros know what kind of value Derek Carr has. And that's what I'm going by. Offensive guard Nate Davis of Chicago looks like he's going to be cut. That's a $30 million player. Now, Ravens and the Saints could snatch him up. That's the rumor coming around the NFL right now. They're going too many 3-and-outs on first downs, and they have to punt for the defense to stay effective. So the defense, they feed off each other. The offense feeds off the defense feeds off the offense. And right now, with the offense struggling as they're doing, the defense is having problems too, and it's going to continue to happen. Jonathan, am I right or wrong on that?
Oh, Chris, it was a rough game. And I think outside of the Chiefs' inability to score in the red zone, they dominated the Saints. I think they had 9 red zone trips, only came away with 26 points in the end. It could have been a whole lot worse. Unfortunately, you do lose Derek Carr. Heard from the press conference after the game. You're going to play a piece of it in just a little bit, but it wasn't from the contact. It was from the torque of trying to get that ball out. I did not love the play call against cover 0 with the blitz on. I don't think you should be trusting a play to that magnitude to a guy who – do you even know who 84's name is, Chris? I know you follow the Saints. I had to look it up. I still don't know his first name. Last name Tipton.
Oh, yeah. Mason Tipton?
Mason Tipton. I didn't even know his name before last night. I had to look it up. Who were the Saints trusting this 4th down to? And, look, it was – Chris Jones is going to feast. He was going to feast against the Saints offensive lines regardless. They had to shuffle it around mid-game. You never want to do that mid-game unless there's an injury. But, Dennis Allen said they had to put somebody else there. Derek Carr is facing pressure the whole game. Alvin Kamara, though, as a team, only having 46 yards rushing, as much as the Saints run the football, that is a big problem.
Yeah, so, that's a major problem.
It's going to be tough, Chris. It's going to be really tough.
So if I'm a general manager and you're thinking the team is good, and we've shown the first 2 weeks of the season, do I want to add pieces or do I say no? So if I want to add pieces, then I say let's go after Davis, that offensive guard. And, yes, let's go after Davante Adams. Because, again, like you just said, you just hit the nail on the head before I did. Mason Tipton, who in the hell has ever heard of that guy? You've got Shaheed Olave. Those are the two guys that people know about. You got 2 tight ends that are okay, average in the National Football League. They're not anything special. They're not Kelsey. After that, you got Bub Means, Cedric Wilson, and Mason Tipton, who should have caught the ball. Now, he was adjusting to try to catch it, but if it goes and hits you in the hands, goes right through your hands, you should have caught that football. So you damn right I'm going after Davante Adams right now. If I'm a general manager and I feel this is it, because I'm going to tell you, it's not only Dennis Allen, rather. It's also going to be Mickey Loomis as well. I don't know if they're going to come out and say, okay, you're fired, but I think what's going to happen is that they're going to pretty much come to him and say, okay, you know what? It's time to go. We got 2 other general managers in this house. We need to make a change here. And I think eventually Mickey Loomis will go when Dennis Allen goes. I think that's going to be it because he's been there enough and hadn't done this and haven't done that. So that's what I see on that. Yes, I would make a play right now for Davante Adams because if you feel the season is lost, then okay, let it go. But if you feel that it's not lost, you're 2-3 on the season, and right now you're the 3rd best team in the NFC South. Even though when I saw the Saints in Atlanta play, I thought the Saints were a much better team than Atlanta. But Atlanta beat Tampa Bay after they beat us. They won that game, and then they beat Tampa Bay after that on Thursday Night Football. So right now Atlanta's the top of the heap in the NFC South. Tampa Bay's coming in this week. You can't lose that game. You lose that game, that's 2 divisional losses you have. and another conference loss, and you're 2-4 on the season. So again, that's what I'm saying. That this season for the Saints can go south pretty quickly. Like Jonathan just said, Derek Carr talked about he has an injured oblique and will have an MRI today. He's tough and says he doesn't miss time. This is what he had to say at the post-game press conference last night.
Not good, but we'll get a MRI and all that kind of stuff tomorrow and figure it out. But for me not to be out there with my guys, no matter the situation, it takes something. So.
What was the determination? Like, what was it that they saw that made it? You couldn't go back in?
I couldn't do what I needed to do in the simplest form, and so I asked if there was anything we could do about it, and there was not enough time to be able to do that, and so I would have done anything to stay out there and keep fighting, but I couldn't. So it sucks. Yeah, they came out to play, and we didn't execute early, and we fought back. We started playing better and all those kind of things, but against a team like this, you got to be on it from the get-go, and so we were not on it from the get-go, and that's what happens.
Today, got out-coached. They did a good job. We really couldn't get a whole lot going either side of the ball. Offensively, we really couldn't get anything going in the run game or in the passing game. Defensively, I felt like we made too many mistakes early on in the game. I don't think we tackled as well as we needed to. And so I think for the first time this year, I felt like, we didn't play the way we're capable of playing. So I was disappointed in that. And so I think, as a coaching staff, we got to go back and look at what we need to do better to try to, improve and put our guys in better positions to be successful.
Yeah, they missed too many tackles last night. That's what he also said in the press conference. Missed too many tackles in that game. From the 20 to 20, they kept moving, and they kept getting first down after first down. But in the red zone, they tightened up. Saints are one of the best teams in the NFL in the red zone, and that was big last night. To me, the NFL has injury problems they have to get fixed right now. Here's the problem. Since the NFL stopped the two-a-days and the 4 preseason games, and I know there's a lot of non-pro football players making decisions like this. We don't need the 4 preseason games, but coaches need it. Players need it. Because usually what happens in the 3rd preseason game, most of the starters play the entire first half of the ball game. Now, so what happens, Jonathan, when you're a quarterback and you get hit for the first time, you're going to get up sore because you hadn't been hit for several weeks. That's exactly what's happening right now with the whole NFL. You're getting so many of these guys not getting used to hit. They're getting more and more injuries are tacked on because there's no more two-a-days. Jim Moore just made a comment about that the other day. There's no more two-a-days, and there's less preseason games. That, to me, is a big problem in the National Football League.
Yeah, Chris, and jobs have become so specialized. They're preaching speed. They want to get as fast as they could possibly get, put as much strain on those hamstrings as they could possibly get. And, yeah, according to Chad Ochocinco, who had a long career and really avoided a lot of injuries, he said players today just had the wrong diet. He had McDonald's twice a day, Chris, and the players today aren't eating enough McDonald's. That's why they're getting so banged up. But this has always been a very violent sport. Coach Terrence Graves calls it a collision sport, not a contact sport, a collision sport. And that's exactly what it is. It's train wrecks out there every play. So, I mean, people are going to get hurt, no doubt, but yeah, you get in football shape by playing football. There's no other way to do it. If you skip the whole preseason as a 8, 9-year-old vet, your body just takes longer to get in football shape. And if you're taking these collisions on a Sunday without being in football shape, injuries are going to happen, plain and simple.
Right. I like that little he's gotten the camera time there, Jonathan. I said we should have been doing that all the time, and you've done a great job. Good job. He does such a great job. Jonathan does so much for this Pelican Sports Network. It's not even funny. Good job for that. He covers a lot of things. This guy is an ace. There's no question about that. He's an MVP. But guess what's happening, Jonathan? What's happening, brother, is guess what? Points are going down in the National Football League, and that means defenses are taking over, and that means, wait a minute. That's not what the NFL wants to do That's not even what college wants to do. They're making all these rules to where it fits offense. I told Coach, I said this, watch closely when you're watching on Game Film in the NFL. When you see a receiver that's backpedaling for the ball, he'll grab a defensive player, and from the side and from the back, it looks like the defensive player is pass interferences guy, and he's not. It's actually the offensive player that's pulling either his belt or his hand down, and it's always called on the defense of pass interference when it should be offensive pass interference. So everything is rules for the offense to be big, but right now, points in the National Football League are going down. That's why everybody went nuts over the Saints in the first 2 games. The points are going down, and that means defenses are taking over, and that means something's got to change. Something better change quick. I don't think they're going to add any preseason games, or they're going to go back to 2-a-days. The players are doing less practice time nowadays and get paid way more money than the guys that did 2-a-days all the time. That's crazy. A lot of decisions are being made by people that never played the NFL game, period. Like Sunday to Thursday. Any NFL player will tell you their body is nowhere near recovery. When you get finished playing on a Sunday, you got to play on a Thursday. You're nowhere near recovered. That is the dumbest thing in the world, but yet we're far pro safety here. We want to be safety for our players. But yeah, they're going to make the guys play when they're still banged up from Sunday? Are you kidding me? That would be even difficult for a college game or a high school game. Bottom line is, I think the Saints will either finish 500 or what I had them at 9-8, but don't be shocked if they finish worse than that. They're the 3rd best team in the NFC South right now, and they play Tampa this weekend, so that ought to be interesting to see how that happens. When we come back, Southern took on Nicholls State. I had an interesting talk with Terrence Graves, the head coach of Southern, just about 15 minutes ago. We'll talk about that coming up when we come back right here. This is Talking Sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouget. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouget today.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
All right, big game coming up with LSU and Ole Miss. We'll talk about that later on in the show. That is going to be a big one in Tiger Stadium this weekend. Southern took on Nicholls State this past weekend over at A.W. Mumford Stadium on the campus of Southern University, and the Jaguars players handed this game on a silver platter for the Colonels. Coach and I just talked about that not long ago. Folks, when it happens like that, you have 4 turnovers in the first half, and you have 4 drives that start on the southern side of the 50-yard line and another drive in the third quarter that started on the 50. That's 5 total drives starts within the 50-yard line or above. 2 of the drives started within the 20-yard line. One of them was a bad punt, a 24-yard punt. That's where Nicholls State was already up 7-0. And then when Nicholls State went to go for the touchdown, they didn't get it. They had to kick for field goal and settle for a 10-0 lead. That was a very big monumental win for the defense there. But after that, it got out of hand to a 38-0 lead at halftime. I asked Coach, were you guys close? Do you feel that y'all were close in the talent level? He said, yeah, I did. But they just got intimidated. They didn't do what he said he was going to do. The left-handed quarterback looked like Kenny Stabler is what he just said. He looked like Kenny Stabler, and that was his best passing game of all year. This guy picked Southern apart because they didn't do quite what they said they would do. They didn't listen to what the coaches had preached to them in the game plan this week. It's like the Jaguars get nervous when they play a Northwestern or a Nicholls State now. Now, they played McNeese right to the tee, and they should have won that game at McNeese, but they lost it. Southern is now 0-4 against McNeese, 6-14 against Nicholls State, and 5-7 against Northwestern State. Southern should be able to compete with these teams because they're on the FCS level. They're on the same level. They should be able to compete with them. And like I said, McNeese at one point was ranked in the FCS. I don't think they are now because they got beat this past week. But regardless of the fact of the matter is that I would be able to, as pride, not only for Southern but for the SWAC, I'd want to compete very well against teams like that because those teams get to go to the playoffs and we don't because we play in the Bayou Classic and the SWAC bowl game, the SWAC championship, and then also, of course, the bowl game. We get more money than the playoffs. But you want to think that you belong there by beating teams that do get to go to the playoffs. And Nicholls State's not a barn burner team. They may win the Southern Conference again, second year in a row. But let's not forget Sacramento State played against them, and they got killed against that game. Also, South Dakota State, number one team in the nation, came down to Southeastern in Hammond and blistered them, shut them out. It was an unbelievable final score. Shut them out. So those teams are not close either. Jonathan, isn't that weird? In the FBS, Southern teams dominate in playoffs and championships. But in the FCS, teams from the North are the winners of championship. North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Isn't that crazy? Montana. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it's a strange coincidence, Chris. And looking back at the game from Saturday, I mean, it's tough to beat anyone with 6 turnovers. The fumble started in the first half, and then, Biden, those 2 interceptions, Chris, and I think that kid has a bright future, but both of those interceptions were really bad. Just throw the ball away, take the sack, whatever you have to do. Don't just give the ball to their team. Southern couldn't execute on either side of the football. They thought they'd be able to run the ball against Nicholls. That didn't really happen. Fighting from behind, you had to rely on Biden to really try to get you back in the game. But I was not expecting that final score. Nicholls is a very strong Southern Conference team. We saw what they did against LSU. Guggenheim busted on a 67-yard touchdown on like the same power look that they kept force-feeding Southern, and Southern really couldn't do anything to stop it.
You know what's crazy is that Coach and I just talked about that, and you see it on every level, Jonathan, in this crazy quarterbacks. So they're out of the pocket. They're running. And they can't find an open receiver. And instead of throwing the ball out of bounds, some of them run 2 or 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and have a 3-yard loss. I mean, what are they thinking? They're supposed to be the smartest guys on the team.
And it's not just college, Chris. Derek Carr's interception last night was also very – that his excuse was I was trying to throw it over his head out of play. But, dude, that's not what happened at all.
No. It floated on him, and he was throwing off his back foot, and you got to make sure – and he felt he was still in the pocket. Is what he said. And you got to be able to throw that ball. If you throw that ball, you better throw it well over it. And it floated on him. He said it was a dumb mistake. Well, hey, the SWAC, Southern goes back to the SWAC this weekend. In fact, the final 7 games, pretty much of all, LSU and everybody, the last 7 games are all conference games. And it starts this week. Texas Southern comes in with a record of 1-1 in SWAC play, and Southern is 1-0. This is a battle for the West early on here in week 7 of college football. They are 5th in rushing and 11th in passing. I'm talking about the Tigers. They're 11th in scoring offensive points. So Southern should be able to win this game on the road. We're at a soccer stadium, Jonathan, at that Shell Oil big soccer stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, but they've got me at the 30-yard line, and they've got me on the bottom level. So there's one level of fans, maybe about 15 rows, and they got me right behind them. And you can't see the paint, the yard markers, wear down. You talk about a hard game to do play-by-play, man.
Only a professional can handle it, Chris. You got that.
No.
You can do it.
Even Jim Kleinpeter, the writer for Southern, said, for the Advocate, beat writer for Southern, said, yeah, it's hard to follow the game because of that. And I'm like, you? Try me, bro. Try me. All right, so again, I think in all of those situations that Southern should be able to win this game. Let's go to defense. On defense, they're 6th in scoring, 4th in yardage, 7th against the run, and 2nd against the pass. Okay, so bottom line is a key for Southern, they got to be able to run the football. But the problem is Saints have the same problem that the Southern does, a bad offensive line, or inexperienced offensive line for Southern. They have to get going. You have to open up the lanes. Again, if you're not opening up the lanes and it's hard for you to go on the sweep because you're not contending the defensive ends or the linebackers come back out and you're doing the sweep, that's a loss. That's a loss on the play, or that's a no-gainer on the play. That ain't going to get you anywhere. That's why you don't see sweeps too much in the National Football League, right? Because defenses are too fast. And if you don't have an offensive line, that dictates how you're going to do sweeps or anything else like that in college football. So,
yeah, and first down is really so important, Chris. You can't get behind the sticks. They do have creative ways to get the ball carriers the ball, but when you're facing, 2nd and 13, 3rd and 15, it's only so much you can do. I mean, you got to stay in front of the sticks, especially a run-first team. You got to get 3 yards at least on first down so you can keep the offense working.
That's what I would do. I would always do that. The first down, I would do basically a run and see how that works out. And then if we get 3 yards, I'd maybe try another run, a play action pass or something of that nature to throw the offensive, the defensive players off guard and see. And again, notice Drew Brees and them didn't throw always long. And that's what Kansas City's doing right now. They're just dumping the ball off to their tight ends or little small routes. They're not going deep. Patrick Mahomes didn't go deep last night very much, and a couple of times he did, it was incomplete. They're going short yardage. That's exactly what Drew Brees did, period. And the Saints are one of the most prolific offenses in the history of the game. That's what I would do if I am an offensive coordinator. I'm not going for the deep ball all the time. Go for this again. And if you've got a quarterback that is inexperienced and is not confident in himself, slip wide receiver screens, quick, bam, just like that. Tight end screens. Of course, running back screens, you can do that. Something of that nature. A slant. Slant is the easiest thing to do to throw because of the fact your linebackers are going other places and your corner is always going to be about a half a step when you're following the wide receiver coming on a slant. Do stuff like that. Skinny post, whatever. Do things like that to try to get him in, to work him on that until his confidence gets good where he can go in deep. The game will be played in downtown Houston at 6 p.m., and it'll be on the radio network only. That's right, the radio network only. So it'll be me on play-by-play, Coach Pete Richardson right on the side of me. It will not be on TV for the second week in a row. When we come back, LSU takes on Ole Miss. Do they have a shot? We'll break it down coming up right here as we continue to talk sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Talking Sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV. Big game at Tiger Stadium this Saturday night. It'll be on ABC national broadcast. And with that being said, you won't have Herb Street or Fowler doing the game. They're going to be over at the Red River Shootout. Well, that's going to be crazy, right, Jonathan, for Herb Street. He's got to fly from Oregon, Eugene, Oregon, all the way down to Dallas, Texas, to do the big game this weekend with the Red River Shootout.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have to sit in his own row in a private plane. It's a tough gig.
Yeah,
look,
tough gig for that.
Kirk
dude.
is a champ. He takes it for the whole nation. Yeah, he's the man. Yeah.
But, look, I'm a dog lover. You don't bring a damn dog to the damn games like that. I would love, if I was head of security for the Superdome, you can't bring your dog in here. I'm going to have dog hair all over the place. Get out of here with that. Flea bites or whatever. You're nuts? Get out of here. You're not bringing your damn dog. I can't believe ESPN allows that to happen because sometimes he's petting the dog instead of being on the air.
Right. They'll cut to the press box. The dog's laying on the wires, chewing on some electrical. Yeah. It's
Al Michaels has got his nice suit on. He's getting dog hair all over it. Get out of here, man.
I will say, Chris, I think the addition of Nick Saban to the college game day has been the best part of this college football season so far. I mean, it has been educational and entertaining.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee, of course, gets the crowd going, but yeah, the insight that coach has been bringing to the set has been remarkable.
Yeah, Saban has done what he does in coaching. It's unbelievable what he's done, and he's even making Pat McAfee better. I think he's making Pat McAfee better. All right, so big game with LSU Ole Miss. Hey, we've been waiting for October 12th. All in the spring and the summer when this schedule came out, everybody circled October 12th, not because of LSU and Ole Miss. I'm talking about all the rankings that's going on this week. Ohio State, Oregon, Red River Shootout. You keep going on and on. Penn State's going to USC. That's going to be some big games this weekend in college football. I got to work on this, so for those of you who don't have to work on college football game, you'll be able to watch all the games this week. Have fun with that because I envy you. Brian Kelly, we got his thoughts off the off week and Ole Miss. This is what he had to say at his weekly press conference just this week.
Last week, obviously, an off week for us. I got a chance to really work on a number of things that needed improvement within our team as many get an opportunity to look at that off week. And I think, earlier in the season, it wasn't really a recovery week for us as much as it was, shore up some things offensively, defensively, and special teams. I thought we had a great week. Gave the guys the opportunity on Friday and Saturday to recovery. And then we were back at it with meetings and weight training yesterday. So now we get the opportunity to welcome Ole Miss into Tiger Stadium. An exciting matchup between two teams that are certainly familiar with themselves, and certainly a team that we have a great deal of respect for. Lane's done a great job there, and certainly a team that is prolific offensively and playing great defense right now. And I think that's the biggest, I would say, if you look at their team last year to this year, they're just playing great defense, coupled with, the weapons that they have on the offensive side of the ball. So we've got a great challenge in front of us. Jackson Dart, obviously we know about him as a 3-year starter now. Trey Harris, an outstanding wide receiver. Great depth at the running back position. And then defensively, I think they're tops in the country, one of the top teams in terms of sacks. Love the linebackers, Paul, Daughtery, and then, of course, Ivy, Nolan, Walter Nolan. I think we all know about him in terms of what he's been able to do in this league. Off the edge, Princely is a guy that really balances their pass rush. And then, in the backfield, Trey Amos is an outstanding corner right here from Louisiana. So it's a very talented football team and deserving of their national ranking. And, again, a great challenge for us. We're excited about it. We know where we're at in terms of the next 7 weeks. We have SEC opponents. Our team is, again, excited about the challenge of playing at home in Tiger Stadium. And looking forward to a Saturday night in Tiger Stadium on national television. That's why you come to LSU, and we're excited about the matchup.
And obviously, when you look at your defense, basically from this game last year to now, where do you think y'all have really improved, and where did you kind of want to work on during the bye week that you need to keep getting better moving forward?
Oh, my goodness. Obviously you're going to turn on the film from last year, and you're going to look at it and go, okay, that's not what we want to be defensively. And, trying to do too many things. Players that, certainly would say that, from a coaching standpoint and a playing standpoint, we're much further along. That's not the same defense. So, look, the game comes down to when you're playing an up-tempo team like Ole Miss, you've got to get lined up. You got to get your cleats in the ground. You got to tackle. And I think we probably talked about this last year after the game. It, didn't tackle very well, didn't get lined up, and it didn't play fundamentally sound football. And so, it starts with that premise, and then you move from there, right? Different looks, try to get the quarterback off schedule, and at the end of the day, try to make any offense, regardless of what they do, one-dimensional. And that we'll try to do that again this year.
All right, so that's Brian Kelly. And again, and we're going to talk about that a little later on, that's the key. The whole difference, well, there's a couple of differences. One, we don't have Jaden Daniels anymore. But LSU hasn't dropped that much when it comes to Nussmeier. We won't run the ball like we did, but we pass the ball good again. And Jaden Daniels did it well. It was a great game last year. And also, our defense has gotten a little better. But what the big thing about it is, Ole Miss's defense has gotten better. But again, this is SEC rankings when they played 4 high school teams. Now they've actually played 2 SEC games. And it's a little different after that. But let's talk about Lane Kiffin. His press conference was also Monday, and this is what he said about LSU.
Really big week for us, preparation, going to play a really talented, well-coached team in a really challenging place to play, always, especially at night. So I think our guys are excited for the challenge, coming off of last week's road game. And so got a lot of work to do, a lot of things to improve on, especially offensively. And obviously talked about it last night, but really felt really good about 2 of the 3 phases Saturday. And, our goal is to play a complete game this week.
And Brian Kelly was very honest at media days about last year's game, that huge win for y'all. He basically said that game knocked LSU out of the playoffs and that Ole Miss forced our hand to evaluate our defense, and subsequently we made changes on that side of the ball. That game became the mark of where we can't go again. Then obviously they got a new defensive coordinator. I guess, what do you kind of think of those comments from that game? And do you expect LSU and those who played in that to have an extra chip on their shoulder this Saturday?
I don't know that. They got a new staff and over there, and Brian does a great job. I think he's all-time active winningest college coach. And you got to make hard changes, to be a successful head coach. And I'm sure that was challenging for him. But you got to do what's in the best interest of the team. But every year's independent, every game's independent of every other game. So I don't know that there's much relative to last year, because I think, as you see in college football, you can't even say what's relative a week ago, how somebody plays and how they play against this team, and then the next week that's going to matter, and then it doesn't matter at all. So I think every week's always independent, every season's independent.
What are the challenges that LSU brings to the table for you this week?
Like all LSU teams, regardless of who the head coach is, they're extremely talented, great-looking players, really explosive on offense. I think Nussmeier is really talented, really good release. So, you got really good players that you got to go play against, and it's been that case for a long time.
So the key to this game is how LSU defense plays against Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to score their points. They're not going to be shut out. It's not going to be less than 10 points. LSU's defense has to play lights out, which means the coaching staff has to come up with a different kind of scheme. Can they do it? We'll tell you about it coming up in the Hot 5. But I think that LSU is going to have to play lights out on offense as well. Now, back to defense. Ole Miss scored 9 of their 12 drives last year in that barn burner shootout. 9 out of 12 of their drives. That can't happen this year. That's what Brian Kelly said in his press conference. I think LSU has gotten a little better since then, but Jaden Daniels is not here, so Nussmeier and company will have to try and match them score for score. If they go down, then LSU's got to stop them 2 more times to win the game. That's how this chess match works. Ole Miss is the 4th best defense in the SEC, giving up only 267 yards a game. But again, I go back to they had 4 high school teams they played. And I wouldn't that surprised that they shut out South Carolina in that game because their quarterback is still coming off an injury that he faced against LSU. That's pretty impressive. Only 267 yards a game? Wow. 8th against the pass. They're first against the run. They're the second best defense in opponents scoring only 7.5 a game against them, Jonathan. That's it. Opponents only get 7. Again, it goes back to the games they played 4. But that's going to be a key that LSU's going to have to score. I don't know. So far, nobody's shutting Nussmeier down. In the games he started, they didn't shut him down. That includes last year's bowl game. I don't foresee that happening again today.
And Chris, the question's been, can LSU, if it turns into a shootout, can they score with Ole Miss? And Ole Miss spent a lot of money in this offseason to really shore up that defensive front, especially on the line. 2 very strong defensive tackles. They're good on the edge. 2 of the best linebackers on the inside in the SEC. Coach Brian Kelly has a lot of respect for him. So, yeah, they play complementary offense to defense, which LSU's going to have to deal with on both sides of the ball. And LSU wants to run the ball to set up the play action and pass. But if that's not the case, if they take away the run, Nussmeier has plenty of experience this year of just dotting up guys on the outside. Of course, Mason Taylor's leading the team in catches, but Aaron Anderson's second, and he leads the team in yards. He's had a fantastic year. Still waiting to see Chris Hilton. Maybe he comes back this week. He's been injured the whole season, but Kyle Parker will be back, so the complement of dangerous wide receivers will all be there for LSU, hopefully. And it's going to have to be all hands on deck because this Ole Miss team is not only dominant on the offensive side of the ball, but like you said, they're one of the top defenses in the SEC as well.
I'd have to see where Hilton, come on, man. You got to be able to come. You want to play in the NFL, or what do you want to do? You want to sell, flyers? I mean, you want to give out flyers, we'll work for food on the side of the corner? Come on, man. Play in a game, bro. I just told Coach Pete. I just told Coach just a minute ago, Coach Graves. Coach, it took me, I ran on a nail that was in my yard, and it was in a board. It was that the ground was covering it. Nail went up my heel on game day. I played in the game, bro. I had a sister drop a plywood on my toe and crack my toenail. Gone. I played in the game. So tape it up. Let's go. I'm playing in the game. I had sprained ankles, all of that stuff. I'm going back in the football game. It would take forever for me. Tony Dorsett played with concussions, for God's sakes. It would take forever for me to get out of a ball game. I'm playing in the game, especially this kind of big game. Are you kidding me? I'm in that ball game, man. And I would have played to get because now, so Hilton comes back now, his timing ain't going to be there. Football shape is what it's called, Marty. Football shape. You're not in football shape. You can be in the best shape. You can run this and that. But when you're playing a football game, you're not used to the football elements, and you're running a 10-yard and maybe a post, and you go on a post, and you're going to be worn out within. You got to come off the sideline in one play. It's just Hilton should have been back a long time ago, but whatever. Other players have stepped up, and that's exactly what it has to be. Look, it's weird that they haven't beaten LSU in Tiger Stadium since 2008. It's been a long time since they won in LSU. Now, that doesn't mean anything, hills and beans for this game, but Tiger Stadium is different. You know that game's going to be sold out. It's a night game for thank goodness gracious on that. A 6:30 game. Well, Jonathan, I love that the way they say 6:30, and it kicks off at 6:50. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, bro. I was waiting for that Alabama game in my off week, Alabama and Georgia. I'm ready for the game. I got my popcorn ready. I got my hot dogs done. And they're getting cold. I got to eat them before the game time because it's 6:50 game time. Come on, man. Y'all said 6:30. They're trying to speed the game up, though. But anyway, so I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. Can Ole Miss handle it? They hadn't been in an atmosphere like that. And another thing, Jonathan, here's another thing. They hadn't gotten a bye week. They're tired. They hadn't gotten a bye week. They made 2 big games on the road. They hadn't gotten a bye week yet. Could that be big?
Well, Chris, I think Kentucky kind of put the blueprint out there of how you keep this Ole Miss team off the field. You have to convert on 3rd down. You have to run the football. You have to have ball security, number one. Can't turn it over. And keep Jackson Dart and that Rebel offense off the field. Keep that defense on the field. Wear them out. Ole Miss, they snap the ball every 22 seconds, I think. They run almost 80 plays a game. There's nobody on LSU's defense that could last 80 plays. I mean, let's just be honest. We have to rotate guys, keep them fresh. Offense has to do their part, though, and control the clock, control the ball.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the key. Everybody getting to the SWAC now. SWAC's been doing that forever. I've been saying that. Sprack's been doing that forever. No huddle offense. Let's go, go, go. And doing play-by-play, you got to be tough on that. You got to be fast. You got to hit it. And so that's going to be interesting. LSU versus Ole Miss this Saturday, 6:30 kickoff, 6:50 really kickoff from Tiger Stadium. Ought to be a very good football game. All right, when we come back, it's what I was right on, what I was wrong on, and my hot five for this week coming up right here next as we'll continue to talk sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouget. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouget today.
If you're a wing lover like me, you already know where the best and biggest wings in Baton Rouge are. TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10. But did you know they also provide some of the best catering in town? Yeah. Their catering packages are custom built for parties and tailgates and overflowing with the tastiest barbecue you can find. Whether you go with the MVP package, the Heisman, or the Natty, you can't go wrong with TJ Ribs because it's not just jumbo wings. They serve up truly tender beef brisket, perfectly roasted pulled pork, and smoky, fall off the bone baby back ribs. Don't forget the savory sausage and chopped beef. Come on down to TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10, proud sponsors of the LSU Tigers and the Southern University Jaguars.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is from Michael Bonnet and the crew. They do a great job at LSU. Unbelievable job with their game notes and what have you. LSU is 12-0 under Brian Kelly in Saturday night games at Tiger Stadium, Jonathan. 12-0 since he took over in 2022. LSU has won 13 straight games at Tiger Stadium. Remember the last loss? Tennessee. Remember they had that horrible loss, 40-13 loss on October 8th? Tight end Mason Taylor is the first player in his position in LSU history to catch 100 passes out of 1,000 receiving yards. Pretty impressive. Garrett Nussmeier coming off a career best 409 passing yards against South Alabama, accounted for 4 touchdowns. Get this. This is what I like about defense. This gives me a little bit of hope, Jonathan. LSU has recorded 13 sacks in the last 3 games, 5 versus South Carolina, 5 versus UCLA, and 3 versus South Alabama. That's encouraging. 8 different players have scored on receiving touchdowns this year. That's impressive. LSU's starting offensive line has combined 123 career starts at LSU. That's impressive. And LSU has racked up 429 total yards of offense in the first half. First half against South Alabama. Now, this is going to be a different game, obviously, no question about that. So with that being said, that's from Michael Bonnet and the LSU staff. That is the game notes for this week. All right, time to find out where I was right and where I was wrong. Let's go. Let's start it out with, first of all, Missouri. Well, Jonathan, I don't know if Vegas is making money off of this because the NFL and college football has been so crazy this offseason. Tampa, good in 1 week, bad the next, good the 1 week, and bad the next. I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable. I'm usually pretty good at this. I'm not figuring this stuff out.
Yeah, lots of parity this year, not only in college but also in the pros. Brian Kelly was asked about it in his press conference yesterday. Is this parity here to stay with the advent of the NIL and the transfer portal? And Brian Kelly wouldn't really want to put a generalization on it, but he just said, everyone's really invested in football. And the top-tier programs are paying to get these 5-star elite players, but they're not 4 and 5 deep like years in the past. Now the guys on the backups are really just transferring somewhere else to play. So there's a lot of talent that's getting spread across, especially in the SEC. I thought Missouri was going to lose the game. I predicted Missouri was going to lose, but Texas A&M blew their doors off, embarrassed them. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting the Aggies to come out like that, but great atmosphere at Kyle Field and Missouri. I mean, there's some rebuild to do. You lose Kevin Peoples, you lose Blake Baker, both come to LSU. The defense was atrocious. They were atrocious against the Aggies.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Missouri wasn't a top 9 team. We all knew that. We said that last week. A&M had problems with quarterback, but they got their quarterback back, and he's looking better. So I said Missouri by 5 just because of that. Texas A&M won by 31. 31 points. That was unbelievable. I was wrong there. Ole Miss versus South Carolina. I said Ole Miss wins by 7 points or more. They won by 24 points. I was right there. Tennessee, Arkansas. Now, usually we're the ones that struggle when we go to Arkansas. Tennessee, I had by 14 points over Arkansas. Arkansas wins it by 5. I mean, nobody saw that game. Nobody saw Vanderbilt beating Alabama. That's why when people say, oh, LSU ain't got a shot against Ole Miss, look at all those other games. So would everybody right about that?
Right.
No. You don't know. You don't know what team's going to show up.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, for your off week to move up into the top 10 because 4 of the top 11 all lose, what an amazing weekend in college football.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, the Vanderbilt time. The last time they beat Alabama, I wasn't even alive yet. It was back in '84. Never beat a number 1 overall before. So, yeah, and the Tennessee game, I picked the Volunteers, no doubt. Didn't see Arkansas being able to hand them down defensively the way they did, but they are more physical. They are more aggressive, getting to the quarterback. They had a good game plan drawn up, and they executed to perfection.
Yeah, so Ole Miss got beat by Kentucky. That means that LSU has a chance to beat Ole Miss. And now with Arkansas beating Tennessee like they did, that makes the chance of LSU beating Arkansas. I think they still win it, if I have to say something now, but that still goes down now. Because LSU never plays good in Arkansas. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the weather, the air. I don't know what the hell it is.
And really, Chris, LSU's schedule just immediately looks a lot tougher now.
Yeah.
I mean, they thought there's no more cupcake games in the SEC.
No. So Arkansas wins it by 5. I was wrong there. I had Dallas losing by 3 to Pittsburgh, and Dallas looked horrible at the beginning, but they found a way to win on a weather-delayed game. I didn't know it was delayed because I was doing something else, and when I watched it, it was 11 o'clock in the third quarter. I said, what the hell? I had to know it had to be delayed. See, when I played the game, we never had delays. Lightning, it hit one player, but go ahead and play anyway. No, I mean, come on. We didn't stop playing a game.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. But
Yeah.
Pittsburgh wins by, Dallas wins by 3. I was wrong there. Where I was right, I said the Chiefs by 6. They won by 13. I was right with that. So I went 2-3 this year. And like I told you guys, I'm usually pretty damn good with this. I was shocked. I'm off this whole year. I am off. I'm 11-13 for the season, and that's crazy because I'm pretty good with that. All right, so you ready for the Hot 5 this week? All right, let's do it. The Hot 5 this week. Ole Miss at LSU in Tiger Stadium. My heart wants to say LSU. My mind says Ole Miss by 7. Jonathan, what say you?
Oh, I got to take a breath first, Chris, because I really want to believe in the Tigers. And coming off of bye week, you think they prepped really well. They have some trick up their sleeve for Lane Kiffin and that Ole Miss team. We'll say Coach Brian Kelly did not call them Mississippi one time in his press conference. So, with that being said, I'm taking the Tigers in a very close game at night, Death Valley. I'm taking the Tigers by 3 points.
I love it. I hope I'm right. I'm wrong, and I'm hoping you're right. I really do. I think that's going to be crazy. All right. What about Texas and OU? The Red River rivalry. And get this now. For those of you picking Texas easy, Chris, it's a piece of cake. They've lost 5 of the last 6 in this game. Oklahoma's upset them 5 of the last 6 in this football game. That's crazy. Some way Oklahoma always pulls it through. Not so fast like Lee Corso would say this time, though. I got Texas winning by 7 in this game at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. And also they've been wanting, both teams have been wanting this game at 2:30 or even at night. And Big 12 said no forever. 11 o'clock. That's when it's starting. 11 o'clock every single time. Right when they got to the SEC, they knew it. And a lot of people said it's one of the reasons why we went to the SEC. We want a 2:30 game. The reason that the Big 12 said that we kind of don't want it to be a night game is because in that area where the fair's at, ain't the most best place in Dallas, Texas. It gets pretty rough after dark.
Yep.
So with that, Texas plays OU, 2:30 game. Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler's going to do the game. I've got Texas by 7 over OU. But don't be shocked that if OU does pull up an upset, because next week Texas hosts Georgia, and that might be on their mind next week.
Yeah, they could be looking a little bit past Oklahoma. Also, Texas undefeated right now. I don't look to them to run the gamut and be undefeated all year. They have circled the date against Georgia. This is why they came to the SEC, like you said. A lot of tradition in Oklahoma, in Norman. I'm taking the Sooners. Call me crazy, but I will say if Texas does win, they're going undefeated. They're beating Georgia next week. if Texas wins in Oklahoma this weekend, look for them to go undefeated on the season.
Yeah, I agree. If they beat Oklahoma and they beat Georgia next week, they'll be undefeated. There's no question. Like I said, OU has won 5 of the last 6 of this game. That's crazy. When Nick Saban said that Texas dominated the Big 12, what?
Yeah.
What?
Hey, big reason. Quentin Ewers goes down, but of course you have Arch Manning to step in. That kid's been lighting the world on fire. He can also run the ball better than any Manning's ever been running the ball before. So, yeah, Texas is a juggernaut right now. But I'm hoping for the upset. I'm pulling for the Sooners. Yeah,
I'm too. I'm hoping I'm wrong on this one. I'll take 0-2, brother. I'll take 0-2. Ohio State at Oregon is another tough game to call. Now, Oregon, get this, by decibels, is the second loudest stadium in college football. Guess who's number 1? Tiger Stadium.
Bang.
Tiger Stadium is number 1 loudest college football atmosphere. That just came out with 139 decibels. And right behind it, 12 decibels behind it, Oregon. And Coach Lanning said it's a very loud stadium. So Ohio State comes into town. I think overall Ohio State's just a better complete team than Oregon. I think they went on the road. I think Oregon struggled the first 2 games. They're kind of getting it now here. But again, Jonathan, this game could go either way. I got Ohio State by 3 in this game. It could go either way.
Yeah, I like the Buckeyes. Bring them out to deep water and see if that physicality can wear out the Oregon Ducks. They're fast. They like to fly. The ball flies around. But Ohio State, they can smash mouth. And if they want to run the ball at you, they got a big offensive line. They know how to run the football. I like the Buckeyes, but, yeah, this is going to have to go deep into the game.
And Ohio State could go undefeated if they win this game, too, for the rest. I mean, they got a couple of games coming up here and there, but other than that, it won't be big, and I don't think Michigan's the same. We all know that. The next one, Penn State versus USC. This game will be at USC. My question is, in 4 years, I know it's 4 years down the line, will USC play in the Coliseum? Because of the fact is that they got to put – the Olympics are going to put a state-of-the-art track around the stadium again, and when they put a state-of-the-art track – they're not going to have those ATVs riding on the track or the players' benches on that and all of that. They got to figure out what they're going to do with that. I don't know if they've come out with a plan on that, but they could play it maybe the Rose Bowl. Maybe they play it SoFi. I don't know. But anyway, be interested to see how that happens. But, all right, Penn State coming off the Nittany Lions over USC. Penn State's undefeated. They always blow a game somewhere. Usually it's later down the line. I'm going to say they're going to not blow this game. I say they win by 3. USC, and it kills me even worse now that we're saying it, that LSU should have beaten USC. That's why Kelly slammed the table. We should have won that damn game. USC is not a good team. I knew that going into that game, but LSU just didn't put them away. I got Penn State winning by 3.
Yeah, that loss to USC just smells worse every day. It's aging like milk. And, yeah, I like Penn State too. I like the +3 mark.
Yep. All right, and my last game goes to the National Football League. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints this week, 12 noon kickoff time. I think that Derek Carr is going to be out. I think that oblique injury is going to be more serious because for him to come out of the game like that, but don't be shocked if he does play in this game. If he doesn't, Bucs win it. I got the Bucs winning by 7 over the Saints. The Saints' offensive line continues to struggle. I got the Bucs winning by 7.
Yeah, it all depends on Derek Carr's health. If he's healthy, I like the Saints' chances at home, but yeah, the Bucs are playing well. Baker Mayfield's had a resurgence, so we'll see. It'll be a close game. Yeah, if Derek Carr doesn't play, I take the Bucs as well.
Well, and this year so far, the Bucs have been good, bad, good, bad. Last week they were bad. They got beat by Atlanta. I got for them to be in good this week, so I got Tampa Bay winning by 7. I'd love to be wrong on that as well. All right, we'll find out next week as we continue to talk sports with me, Chris Powers. That'll do it for this week's show. Again, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, everybody involved. We'll see you back next week right here on Talking Sports with me, Chris Powers, right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Rocks and fires. Tommy White with it. Johnson heads to the ball.